bearings. All right. So I guess I'll kind of continue in this direction of looking at the other side of some of these alien groups that they're, some of them, so many people put them on a high pedestal, like the Arcturians. This would be the Pleiadians for today. Of course, some feel like it's all government and all that. It's like, okay, whatever. I'm sure. I don't think so. They're not. They give the government way too much credit. It's too. No, they're just not there. Yeah, it is difficult deciphering energies. I mean, I feel they're frequent. I mean, I don't connect to them very often. I mean, I do it when I do it here, but I don't like connect to them after this. Usually I don't feel them around very often. But they can look like, godlike people, like more purified humans, perfect people, the models, blonde. Not all of them are blonde. Some of them have blue skin or different kinds of green, blue, whatever. They certainly do have their issues. There are worlds where they're, kind of going through what we're going through too. Some of them do feel like they failed us also, because they're supposed to be helping us. Yeah, you say protecting us. I feel like the Arcturians felt the same way. I feel like more of the failings in the Pleiadians I do the Arcturians. Like the Arcturians are assisting us, but still letting us do our thing. The Pleiadians were kind of screwing around with us, and they still are. Some of them can be pretty dark here too. They're like the Nordic beings. Well, they can push, anorexia. A lot of supermodels are connected to Pleiadians, or at least to look a certain way. What's the definition of beauty? That's a lot of the Pleiadian energies. So it can get quite complicated. I mean, some of these Pleiadians can be worse than reptilians. So reptilians, you see, obviously got their issues too, but nothing's ever perfect. But the Pleiadians can really manipulate the hell out of people. I mean, they already did like Heaven's Gate. They felt like they were connected to God. It was just manipulative Pleiadian beings. You see that already in the spiritual community, how the pretty people are manipulating people. Of course, they say they're not. Of course, they might be manipulated themselves, but they think they're telling you the truth when they're lost like anybody else. So it's hilarious. I don't know if it's funny, but it kind of is. It's like a horror movie. So there's a lot of deception out there, obviously, that many are not ready to believe or connect. I don't know, just kind of a lost energy overall. Well, when you're always defined by looks and looking for looks, yeah. Well, many get into relationships for looks, and then that all kind of falls apart later on. Even when I was going to do this about the Pleiadians, I felt kind of a discomfort around me. I wonder why. A false light. And the word false light came to mind, which I wasn't going to use that. It's like, geez, that's bad. I mean, that's really bad if that's linked to them, which it is. And some of them can be depicted as angels, but also be depicted. I mean, there's some good side to all of it, and there's also a lot of bad. So we'll go into several sides of it. Let's put it that way. But many do give their power away way too easily to any of these beings, for that matter. Whoever, even Arcturians, sometimes they feel like the Arcturians are more superior, and that's all subjective. They can also be the most lost at the same time. And also, this is submitted through the site of ET Origins about the Powderpuff girls and the occult energies, which I am not a Powderpuff girl. I'm not the audience, so I had no idea. I've seen some of Rainbow Bright only because I've been connected to that energy. Well, Rainbow Bright, to jump into that a little bit, because I don't see that's more diluted. That's like a rehabilitation, like you're like a monster in another life, and you connect the Rainbow Bright, which isn't like some little kid. It's more like an adult energy, but um anyway, I picked up on her energy. Like if you're like a psycho in one life and you go to a world to rehabilitate your energy, maybe it's too positive, but sometimes you need that. As for the Powderpuff Girls, I am not one. I never grew up with that or know anything about them. But what little I saw of it, that show is pretty messed up. I guess they were cloning them, even killing them. Had a mad scientist that created them and had all this weird, just psychedelics like Mickey Mouse on crack. So I didn't go too deep into the research of that, but I saw some commentary on it. It's pretty twisted. So yeah, it's one of those shows where there's a bunch of psychos, occult psychos working on it, you could say. And what better place to, I mean, I think SpongeBob has some of that too, a little bit. Maybe not as much as the Powerpuff Girls. I guess the Powerpuff Girls, they can just get away with, well, because parents just see it just a cartoon, but it's all psychotic, psychedelic. You know, it's what the creators are going through. Obviously, some of it's happening in astral too. Is it programming kids to a certain level? But also, it feels like the creators of it are just venting their frustration with themselves, their darkness, what they've done to other beings, and things like that. And just not good stuff. And this brought me. I was looking actually before the Powerpuff Girls. I was thinking about the I don't know how to pronounce it, Blemmyes. And I was just thinking about that was about maybe a month ago, and then I ended up finding it without even looking for it. I can't remember what they were called, and it just kind of I thought about it and I forgot about it. But anyway, it's like but they have the no head, but the body has a face on it. There's like ancient drawings of it and stuff. It's like really twisted stuff. Um, it's back. I mean, it's still. Somebody say it's fake. I don't think it's fake. Some kind of twisted experiments of the past. They could have come from another reality. There's different ways of looking at it, but it's just it's pretty out there. So we'll go into some of that. Yeah, go from the Powerpuff Girls to something that's probably more twisted. I don't know. They're probably about the same, actually. The Powerpuff Girls. I have to look more into that in the future. It's like Lady Gaga on crack or something like that. Lovely. All right, this is Atomic Economy private, something like that. Private sessions. Shop here. Yeah, there's webinar, social network, behind the scenes, the archive, and then we go into the Powderpuff Girls. What little? Yeah, I only did a little bit. I only looked into this just a little bit. Yeah, there's only so many. Yeah, it's a twisted scientist. I don't know if that shows anything. Let's see. Twisted. Is anything screwed up? They're not really showing a whole lot here. Well, that's when they become a monster. Yeah, they just get freaking bizarre. Yeah, it's creepy. It's creepy. Nothing wrong with any of this. It's just a cartoon. So yeah, I'm not going to go into too much details of all this because I don't know a whole lot about it. But either way, we're going to the occult energies of it, and then the Blemmyes. So this is, like I said, it's like this isn't nuts. I mean, I don't know if they have a cartoon of this. Of course, the Powerpuff Girls have other connections too. Yeah, they look kind of messed up when you think about it. But anyway, it's just for kids, right? Jeez. Well, that's just a drawing of it, but still, I mean, I think they said there was tribes that found these guys. I think it was South America. Oh, geez. Yeah. It's been a while since I've looked this up. So it's Africa. No surprise there. I feel like they've been seeing it in South America too. Mm. Not headless beings, and yeah, I might have done something on this recently. It's been a while. Yeah, headless men of ancient medieval mythology. Yeah, so yeah, it's weird. Well, you can say it's like Atlantean creation. Obviously, yeah, the freaks, I guess you can say, is a dog type, yeah, is a woman, a cyclops woman, a guy with a big foot. You know, and a lot of times they're not making it. Geez, talk about obviously they're not making sure we're making sure. Well, there's some disformities here in this reality, so yeah. So that's an eye opener for you. Can you imagine? I mean, it's when talk about aliens seeing those guys. We'll be seeing a headless person with a face on their chest. Maybe I'll sleep at night with that one. I imagine many people here would get used to that. So fucking it's too freaking weird though. I don't think they have a movie about that. That would be a horror movie probably. And they're probably not trying to make it a horror movie. It just feels that way. It feels like it's unnatural. At least to us it is. And there's probably some scientific study. I mean, it can go back into like the Atlantean times easily. And they just didn't get to wipe them all out. I feel like, yeah, there was some kind of mutants that they did clear out, obviously, in our modern age, are keeping it all silent. If those guys even exist today, we would never know. You think we would, but then again, they keep a lot of things top secret, so you never know. There's definitely a shadow government that comes in. You never know. Yeah, it's just they keep the narrative, they keep the aliens away from us. So, it's anyway. We'll just never know. So, all right, we're going to the Pleiadians and their issues. Of course, where they help and where they don't help. You can keep it neutral there. So, and I believe many do give their power away way too easily. That's like seeing an attractive person, and just all common sense flies out the mind. So, especially if you're not an attractive person and you're around an attractive person, also an attractive person is paying attention to you, obviously it's easy to get pulled into that. Even if you feel the signs of this person's not right and you ignore it, and then you find out later. So, all right. So, what's next from you? And sometimes you're concentrated. You're contracted to go through that. So you wonder why somebody get into, or any relationship for that matter. It's like, well, why was I so stupid to get involved with it? Well, there's probably was a contract with it, and you can't always break it until later on, until you feel the pain. So, blessings. Greens, Pleiadians. Yes, from a more neutral standpoint, some of the Pleiadian beings are obsessed with humans here. And yeah, they do act like they're gods where they can manipulate the energies very easily. So of course, they tell themselves they're not doing anything wrong. But they just want to be liked by others. They want to, they're kind of like vampire beings to a certain level. And it does come back to them. But basically, yes, they use their charm and looks. Now, a lot of them don't have the most deepest personalities, so they use their looks as a way to manipulate. Some of them can be very simple. It's just they're not willing to grow within. So they know they can take advantage of people, especially those that don't feel that attractive, those that are very insecure. So, and obviously use their looks. Now, do they lose their looks? It depends on what reality they connect to. If you continue in a Pleiadian reality, you can say sometimes they reject you, like when you've been manipulated other races of beings or their own species. eventually it's hard to incarnate with them. Yeah, your looks aren't the same, your powers aren't the same, your power manipulation isn't the same. Eventually, you lose yourself basically. You lose your abilities, you lose your influence, you lose a great deal. So then you come into a world like this to get your power back, and hopefully you're not manipulating people anymore. And usually they incarnate without the looks, but sometimes they do anyway because they can't help it. Well, some are addicted to attractiveness, even if none of it makes any sense. So some of the Pleiadians do. They just know they have power over people, especially your world. Even reptilian beings. Some reptilians find Pleiadians very attractive. And obviously not all Pleiadians are like that. A lot of Pleiadians they know they have the ability to manipulate, but they don't use it with good reason. But they know how they have a power influence over others, but they use it in a good way to, bring people together for growth, for whatever, just heighten the frequencies and do the right thing. But there's others that have kind of lost their self spirit themselves and just don't care anymore. They most likely, some of them, part of them is just a power trip. And of course, they have their agents here on your world. Well, also they offer things like you have all this power, or they'll offer. I mean, they do it astrally, but as you know, that many people here on your world sell themselves out for power, and some of the Pleiadians are involved with that. Some Arcturians are involved with that, but it's mostly a Pleiadian agenda. Well, it's mostly a Pleiadian because they know it once again, like your celebrities, it's all about looks. Even with the music, it's all about looks. Of course, about the sound, but a lot of it's about the looks too. So it's just, there's some Pleiadian beings that would just never change. Even if they lose their power, they don't care. They'll continue to do it until they devour themselves. Some just have self-hatred and hatred for all things. So yeah, they're just connected to an evil side of themselves that just can't let go. And they do have their lower dimensional hell. It's like their idea of purgatory. It's kind of like some of those prisons where they have a tennis court and everything, and things aren't so bad there. They're confined there, but it's not that bad. Of course, they send them to your planet, and then they might change their ways. Of course, it's different. A lot of them will be able to, use their power of looks, but also they use their race, because not always Nordic people. Some of them are black, some of them are different Asians, some of them are different whatever. So, and some of them use their race once again to manipulate. So some of your racial propaganda, it does get kind of touchy there. Because some have not healed that within themselves yet. So obviously you can't fully speak your mind here still on any level, but some are using their race against others, not just the whites, is different colors also of race. Not that everybody, but there's certain ones that are doing it for obvious reasons. They weaponize your race. There's nothing worse than that. And you're seeing it here. Yeah, they have a pretty decent body structure. Like they can do no wrong with it. It's like they're ironclad DNA. They can eat whatever they want and be fine. Those are kind of the most dangerous ones. Those are the ones that are manipulating reality, because it's almost like having a missile hitting your society. And it can become drama queens. They can have all these children, ignore them all, and things like that. They can do whatever they feel like. But some of them feel like they're gods here. Obviously, they lose their power eventually. But some of it's obviously just tapping into some of it. It goes much deeper, but I believe some of you have an idea of it. Some things. Greens to you. Yeah, the consciousness of the Powderpuff girls, and yes, and their occults. Yeah, yes, this is more of the lower level entities, not the Powerpuff Girls themselves, but basically the Powerpuff Girls are being used to manipulate society. Well, to bring in confusion. Yes, to show all. Yes, it's one way to see how twisted the elite are. And yes, how they put this in children's programming because they don't care. And because they do feel like humanity is pretty much ignorant, which many just you have no idea, obviously. I mean, they should be teaching these things in schools. Eventually, they might if they have enough of bravery within themselves. You can instead you have to go to the internet, which is good that internet can do that. Eventually, your schools, of course, your schools are known to manipulate it anyway because they're just so corrupt. But either way, the Powerpuff Girls, once again, themselves are pretty decent beings, but they are used to weaponize your society, just like your Simpsons. The Powerpuff Girls, you can say, is worse because it's not that much well known, but you see how the twisted energies within the elites of just causing confusion, destructive energies, violence, violent tendencies, basically also called ADD, for basically for children to have, but they can't concentrate, they can't think, they're always on the move. Also, some of these cartoons, it's the idea for kids not to read. Not to say books have all the answers. Many say, "Oh, go read a book," but sometimes those books don't help. But it does make it less likely to read, though. It makes it harder because it messes with the brain waves of some children, not all, but some. Like there are some children already out there already that adds to it's almost like mental crack. So it's a subconscious manipulation. Now, for some, they might also open themselves up to what's here. It's like, I got you. I figured out your spells. Obviously, most aren't doing that. Even those that are trying to understand this, they can't fully grasp it with their mind of how this truly works, and even how an elite occult group would even do this. You can say they have connections to human trafficking to a certain level. Doesn't mean it's the creators of it, but there's some energies there once again for confusion. Yeah, psychedelics. I mean, this is mostly for adults than it is for kids. Adults can handle it better. Even they, well, because if you start seeing what they're doing, basically this show should not be for kids. For adults that are aware what they're getting themselves into, just by the way, disclaimer, this is an occult literature, you can say, or visual literature. That would help. When they're not doing that, it reprograms the mind. It really does how you think. It's not like it's not going to end everything, but it is causing some difficulties here. It's basically causing a lot of impatience here. It's part of it, though. There's a lot more to it than that. And for some to be a little bit more psychotic than they need to be. For some, it can trigger that. Brings to you rather the Blemmyes. Our energies are actually quite strong with you. We are similar to, you can say, Bigfoot, but we're not obviously seen on your world for obvious reasons. It'll scare the hell out of everybody. But we are most multidimensional beings. Yes, you can say created on your planet, created on other planets too. We basically experiments gone wrong, as some might say, but either way. Some just feel more, it's more of a higher astral realm, but they do exist in your physical dimension. At least at one time, they're not fully here in your reality currently. So they're kept away from your population for obvious reasons because you have a word of normalcy. But back in the past, that wasn't the case. No one really cared. But now everything is being recorded. Of course, they're being recorded out of your history. But yes, we're very much real. And yes, scary to most. But in the astral plane, you see us. I mean, usually we're pretty harmless, but then again, some can get very aggressive. Similar to like a reptilian being, but they feel they can get, they use their bizarreness to scare others to get what they want. Imagine if you're trapped in a cage and all of a sudden you see a Blemmy walking around with a headless human with a face on his chest. So that might cause some mental, deterioration there. Was like, what kind of weird am I a part of? Yeah, for some it might be a little bit too much. But eventually your world will allow these beings to come back, but not at this point. It's too twisted currently. Well, those that twist so they're taking like what you call normal and hijacking it and telling you this is all there is. It's like they have humanity under like have it by the throat. Not everybody, but quite a bit. And eventually you'll start your purpose here is to clear all of this so your world can go back to its natural state of strange. And also like you're like currently like you go into your history of like Rome and Greece and things like that. You might not know everything, but you're going to the ruins. You've healed those past, those empires. Eventually go to the Earth's past of empires. And not you're kind of doing it now, but you have to be at a kind of different vibration to see more, such as Atlantis and civilizations before that. And that's what you're working towards. Obviously, it's not going to happen instantly. But it is basically connecting to our frequencies kind of gives you a hint of what else is out there. So maybe you feel like you've had decently have all the answers, and then you see a being like us, and now you look at the world very differently. So let's see.